Hi everyone, Dr. Victoria Skirbo here. And it's been a little while since I had a conversations with friends, but today I have a special conversation with a very special friend and teacher. My a light on my path, my friend Linda Ward. Linda Ward gave me a reading back in, I think it was 1999. At that point, I had been an astrologer for a number of years. Um, but she gave me a reading that changed my life. And I became a student of hers. I became her apprentice. I did an apprenticeship program with her and have been utilizing the system that she developed with a few tweaks of my own um, to help people to come to understand who they are and what their life purpose is. And I can't tell you, I am so thrilled that you're going to get to meet this special woman that has meant so much to me. So, with no further ado, conversations with my friend, Linda. Hi, everybody. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And we're doing another installment of my conversations with friends. And today you get to meet my friend, Linda. Actually, she's not just a friend. She is one of the lights on my path. She is one of my teachers. She has taught me Kabbalah and numerology, and I'm forever grateful. She did a reading on me that changed my life and put me on the path that I am now. So this is my friend Linda Ward. Hi, Linda.
Hello.
So Linda has been a astrologer and a Kabbalist for years now, right, Linda?
A long time.
Long time. Now, were you? Did you start with astrology and Kabbalah together, or did you do like how? What was your path to developing this whole system? Because the system that I use is a system that you developed yourself. So
Right.
how did that go?
Well, let me tell you the story from the beginning.
Please.
When I was 8 years old, the word astrology didn't mean anything to me at all. I didn't know what it was, but I was always trying to help my mother, who had a lot of emotional problems. So here I am, 8 years old, and I'm wondering why people feel the way they feel, think the way they think, and why they are not happy, because here I'm going to grow up in a world and I want to be happy.
Right.
So if I can figure the keys out and fix my mother, maybe, then maybe I'll be happy and I'll find my my way to the kind of life I hoped I could live.
Right.
So I was baptized at age 8, and in my Bible, I wrote the months of the year, and I put everyone's name under that month. And I wanted to, because my mother would always say, "You're just like this one, or you're just like that one." And I knew, even at that young age, I had to categorize people in the months they were born to see, well, maybe you are, because if you were born the same month, or
Oh my goodness.
so that started at a very young age, and then I became obsessed with reading anything that would help me to understand why I was interested in this. And I was 20 when I took my first astrology class.
Wow.
And
You're doing a reading right now?
Yes, I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Jackie.
Oh, I can't. Sorry about that.
so anyway, so that's about where I left off. But anyway, at 20,
you put people in the months to try
Yes.
to figure out.
Right.
Oh,
So
astrology class at 20. I'm sorry.
that's all right. And then in taking the astrology class, I wanted to learn more about it so I could prove that it was all rubbish, it was wrong. And as a result of that, I became quite good at something I didn't know I'd ever want to do with my life. And then I started teaching, and anyway, that's how I began, to prove that it was wrong. And because I'm such a researcher and I like to apply it,
Right.
I found that I was wrong and that there's something to this. And then I wanted to share my discoveries, and that's how it all boomeranged.
Right.
Then I met Faith Gervain, and I studied with her for years, 20 years. And she's the one that taught me the numerology that ties in with the Kabbalah
Right.
and astrology. I became very interested in the Kabbalah aspect of it because I'm interested in the soul's evolution. So I delved more deeply into that than what Faith could teach me.
Right.
Then I pulled all of those systems together to create the evolutionary pathway of the soul.
Now, first of all, I've heard like some of the best astrologers out there decided to look into astrology to disprove it. I know that Jeff Green, who started the whole evolutionary astrology
Right.
movement, that was why he did it. He's like, this is bull dinky, and I'm going to prove that it's wrong.
Right.
And then he realized that it was right. And I've heard that from many different. I was just listening to Rick Levine out of Washington State. He was saying the same thing, that he decided he was going to get into astrology to disprove it.
Right.
So I think that's pretty funny. Now, how did you, now I know you studied the numerology with Faith, and she is the author of the book, I'm sorry, Numerology in the Divine Triangle.
Right,
Yes,
right.
Okay, which is a book that I use all the time, and that I tell people who ask me what's a good book to read for that.
Right.
I usually, that's like the first thing I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Kabbalah, because that's a little bit harder to access, because people ask me, what's a good book on the Kabbalah? And I've read Ned, they're really, I know. Yeah.
So,
Did you study through the Western occult tradition more, like the Golden Dawn, or was it more you went into the Hebrew Kabbalah, or was it just a mixture of all of that?
it's a mixture of all of it, to tell you the truth. You know, Faith was born in 1898, and she died at 94, when she was 94 years old. And she grew up and educated herself prior to psychology. She was always interested in the soul and such, but I was really into evolutionary way of thinking, and also, you know, why are we here? What is our purpose? And why do people have to go through such difficult experiences? There was just so many deeper questions, and I had to get deeper into the system to find the keys to the evolutionary pathway of the soul.
Right.
And so I began to study the tree of life specifically, and the numerology that is used is transferred over to what I call the filing cabinet, which is the tree of life.
Okay.
So each number represents an aspect of astrology. Each sufferer on the tree of life represents an area of consciousness that we'll say it's an objective that the soul has set, which require the development of certain stages of consciousness.
Right.
And it also puts us into polarity with its opposite so that we learn balance and so on. So when I placed the numbers on the tree of life, and I understood that each number was connected to astrology, of which I was fully steeped in,
Right.
Then I was intuitively aware that these systems all really work together, and you cannot separate them. There's no way that you could peel the onion when you're just working with 37,000 different things in astrology. You just get lost in the heady aspect of the naming of things and the making of symbols and the aspects and all of that, but you don't get into the deep soul stuff.
Right.
And that's what I was interested in. So that's why I pulled them all together and created a system that worked for me, and it was a good counseling tool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that it's the system that you taught me, and it's the system that I use when I do readings. And it's, and then I also add the evolutionary astrology part of it, because I've studied with one of Jeff Green's students, one of his first students,
Right.
Kim Marie out of South Dakota. So like I have that, and then I have the the evolutionary stuff, and it's just so beautiful. It's such a beautiful, and what I find is when I'm doing the reading is that you get into a flow
Mm-hmm.
that all these different like things about the Kabbalah, and you know it about the astrology, and you know it about numerology, but there's a way of getting into a flow where I almost feel like I'm not the one speaking.
Right.
And when you gave me my first reading back in 1999, I felt like you channeled the reading, even though I know that it was like 30 or 40 years worth of work to get you to the point that you could like flow like that. But it was just amazing. And I was like, this is because I studied astrology since as soon as I got out of chiropractic college, and I didn't have to study anatomy and physiology and
Right.
chemistry, and I started picking up astrology books, and so I've been studying astrology since the late 80s.
Right.
But it really didn't like, and on my own, of course, because I didn't even know you could have a teacher at that
Right.
point, right? And I always had I used to go and get those little rolls that you used to get at the five and dime store, and it said it was like a little scroll, and it was like the scroll for Cancer for July or for June, and I used to read them, and but that was like when I was in high school. So, but because I spent so much time in college and then graduate school, I never really had the time to study that stuff. So when I finally could pick what I wanted to study, I really started getting into astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a brief, actually, I had a boyfriend in the 90s, and he took a course. He took your numerology, the path and abilities map. He learned that from a student of yours, and I don't know who she was,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to learn that, and he was such a jerk. I wanted to learn that, and I said, "Oh, I want to learn this," and he said, no, I can't teach it to you because it's not like, it was like a secret. It was like I wasn't quite evolved enough to do
Oh
it.
my
Like
God,
it
he
was,
was a jerk. I wonder whether you find that on the Tree of Life.
yeah. Well, he actually he had a lot of Pisces, and
Really?
he had a lot of Pisces. He was born in '66, and all his Pisces was in the fifth house. So he was
Oh,
really just a Leo
yeah.
with that sort of
Pretending to
Pisces.
be a Pisces.
Yeah. So he was very smart and very creative and an amazing musician, but I have to say not the best of boyfriends, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that, of course, having my south node in the seventh house, we know that that's going to be an issue for me, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
like, who are you going to partner with that's not going to mess you up? You
Mm-hmm.
have your south node in the seventh house too, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Only mine's in Aquarius and yours is in Sag. So you were actually at 8 years old with a south node in Sagittarius. I'm not surprised you were like already taking notes, because
I
that's
was.
right. That south node in Sag is the professor, the philosopher, the teacher. So you were a born teacher. And what you taught me was, when you have that south node in Sag, and you're moving to that north node in Gemini, which incidentally you're going to be having a nodal return this year or next year,
Yes.
I think, right?
And my progressed sign is going to conjunct my north node about the same time.
Oh my God, this is so exciting!
I
Woo-hoo,
think
I
it'll be
can't
great.
wait. I can't wait. But so you've come in to find the language and
Yes.
write the book.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
I will annoy you. Okay, I actually had a different guy tell me, and I probably shouldn't be admitting this. He called me relentless. He said, "You are relentless," and I'm like, "I'm not relentless." He says, "You never give up." I'm like, "Oh, if it's worth going for, why are you going to give up?" Right?
I agree that he's right about you. You don't give up. You're very persistent, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
big.
yeah, I think that's for me, I think that's Pluto, Mars, Pluto in the first house, in Virgo, no
Yeah,
less.
absolutely.
Right? If
Absolutely.
at first you don't succeed, try again.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I'll be like 85 and still trying, I'm sure.
Oh, I agree. I think that's probably true. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. That's good.
No, it's who I am. And, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to, just like you, North Node in the first house, we're supposed to be here to figure out we are, right?
Well, I think my mother set me on this path because she was she was a weepy Cancer
Oh,
who had a difficult early life, and she was always crying. She was always unhappy, and a part of me wanted to heal her, wanted me to. Uh, I thought if I understood, she always told me everything, and when I didn't know how to handle it. So I thought if I could just know what I want, if I knew how to help her, I would.
right,
But first, I had to know who I was.
right.
And so I think what astrology did for me, it helped me to understand myself to begin with.
Right.
Not that it held all the answers, because I
Right.
was just too young to know how. I didn't have any wisdom at that time.
Right.
But um, so I guess I can't remember what I was referencing, but
Knowing yourself
yeah,
and your mother putting you on that path.
yeah, and then I began to see the positive and negatives of every sign, and I began to see my positive and negatives, and I was determined I didn't want to be like my mother.
Right.
I was determined that I
Which
didn't
would
want to
be
be.
easy enough as a Pisces to
Oh
become a
gosh,
weepy mess,
oh,
a maudlin sort of.
definitely. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that for myself. And if that's what life was, why am I here? That kind of thing. I couldn't, I could not live that life. Could
Right.
not live that life. But I had a lot of crap to move through like everyone else.
Right.
I had to do my work psychologically. And I really believe that we can't function on a healthy level spiritually unless we've done our psychological work.
Right.
That because then that creates the steadiness within oneself, the certainty within oneself, and the conviction that enables us to live more purposefully and intentional around what we believe,
Right.
and so on. So,
Yeah. As I understand it, the evolution is a product of the evolution of the soul, and the soul is emotional, the soul is psychological, the soul is our
right,
feelings, right?
right,
Our
that's right,
mind has more to do with our conscious awareness,
right.
but we have
But
to delve into those feelings.
yes, we have to do both. We get into our head. That's when I was so wrapped up in astrology, and I
Right.
wasn't interested in what Faith wanted to teach me. I just wanted to go more and more and more and more into astrology. She says, no. She says, you're going to learn the numerology. I says, but she says, you're going to learn the numerology. So that was the best thing that she could have done for me, because it took me out of my head, and it began to address some of the concerns I had and the answers that I was looking for,
Right.
because it was a double-digit numerology, not just 1 through 9. And then when I saw the tree of life and how it connected up with the Hebrew letters and all that, that really was the answer for me.
That sealed the deal, as they say.
It sealed the deal.
Sealed the deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And I found my purpose. I really found my purpose in that.
It's interesting because in a strange sort of way, my mother put me on my path as well, because my mother, and
Yeah.
and she's still with us. She'll be 100 on her birthday, but my journey has always been a journey of figuring out who I was. My shadow is a 1. I was never really sure, and I was told who I was, but I wasn't told the truth.
Mhm.
So in just people saying you're this, and this, and I would say that's not how I feel inside. That's not who I feel like I am. I don't think that way. I don't I don't look like these people.
Yeah.
Not that, and they loved me. It's not like I had a wonderful life. I mean, but if you can't connect with like the core of who you are, or you're
Yeah,
being lied to,
right.
so my search was also sort of precipitated by a search for mother.
Is it 46-1?
Yes,
Well, that's your heart center.
that's right.
And this is where the tree of life comes in. You were looking for your identity, not your identity, your individuality, not your identity. Because your identity locks you into a form. In other words, you are someone's daughter, or you
Right, right.
are a chiropractor, or I'm a Republican, or whatever. Those are
Well, I'm not a Republican, and I doubt that you
I'm not either.
are.
So anyway, when we move up into the heart center, then we really want to be individualized and respect all others for their unique characteristics
Right.
of individuality.
Right. And I sort of went through that process. First I was somebody's daughter, and then I was somebody's doctor, and then I was somebody's
Yes.
girlfriend, and then
Yes.
but I really didn't heal that wound. Like, I didn't feel whole until I found my birth mother.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that moment that it all changed and shifted for me.
Right.
Right. And so, like, I found like the core, like I landed for the first time in my life, I would say. And that was like, I was 48, I think, at that time,
Mm-hmm.
47
Yeah.
or 48. So, but and we both have our soul. You're 3811 soul, are you?
No, I have a 22 soul.
Of course.
Soul.
Oh, so yeah, no, your path of life is in Bina.
3811.
Yeah, your path of life. My soul is in Bina. So we have that connection to, like,
That's right.
the mother being like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, my mother was my life lesson, and in a sense, she was also meant to be so,
Right.
because she really, her darkness made me seek the light.
Right. Right. Right.
And then I wanted to share that light with her, which I was able to do before she passed. So I just feel like it was a full circle moment.
I was going to ask you that because I know that you came back to your mother in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, my mother came back to me, and she's been with me now for 16 years. And it's taken that long for me to sort of really have to move a lot of stuff out of the way.
Yeah, but you see how important the psychological piece is for everybody. If we
Yes.
don't do that digging, if we don't work with Pluto in the way that we're meant to work with Pluto, so that we can enter into the transformational process,
Right.
how can we climb a ladder and say, I'm evolved?
Right. Absolutely.
That's just, you see a lot of that in this work. And I think that's why this work gets a bad name. Because you see people that call themselves something that they can't back up.
That's right.
That they can't practice.
Yeah. One of the things that I say often is like, yeah, there's illumination and awareness, but it doesn't make things easier. It just you just have more awareness.
That's
and
right.
Then the next challenge is even a little bit more, but you can get through. I feel like there's a time, and maybe I'm naive still because I'm still relatively young, I guess. There's a time when, I don't know if you see it coming, or you can move through it a little faster, perhaps, because you have a little bit more wisdom, and you can separate yourself from the problem that you see. It's interesting you bring up Pluto and having to deal with Pluto, because as a country, right, the United States is going to be having their Pluto return in 2022, 2023. And so we as a country here are going through a similar process to what we just described, as really having to move through a lot of pain and a lot of darkness.
Yeah, the next 4 years are going to be very, very difficult, because the old system, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but.
Sure, I'll talk about it. You know me.
Okay. Well, we are in the Aquarian age now, according to I mean, there's
Yeah.
no calendar that says we are, but
Right.
I believe we have now entered permanently the Aquarian age.
Yeah.
But we're just on the cusp
Yeah.
of things. And when we're on the cusp of things, part of us is still caught up in the past. And the energetic template of the Piscean age is falling down. And everything was structured in accordance with what that age was meant to be about. And so all of those structures outside of ourselves, the Pisceans really don't like to deal with the details of life.
Right.
I'm a Pisces, I know. We don't want to, we're not the kind of people that like a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
I mean, we can do it. I've done it. But we leave those kinds of things, those mundane things, to the Virgos of the world, or to people that are more sensate in their experience of life. And so we have been basically just living our life in our own little world, doing everything we've been told to do in these outer systems, be it education, policing, government, all the rules and all the policies and everything have been built over all these years. And we just haven't paid that much attention. We just follow the rules, do what we're supposed to do, and hope that we can make a life for ourselves.
Right.
And then also religion and things such as that, same thing. And now that this is coming down, we are all having to wake up, just wake up, because this is not working, and we know it's not working. A new template has to be built, and it has to do with the awakening of mankind. And so, but before that can happen, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So Uranus brings everything to the surface. So all of the corruption that went on right under our nose, but we weren't paying attention. All the opportunities that people have taken to reach levels of success, domination, to fulfill their greedy purposes and intentions, that has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
And we have just been in our own little worlds. So I really believe that that what we're dealing with now is a result of the fact that we haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. But
the Aquarian age is about waking up. It's about higher levels of consciousness, and even the virus that's going on, I believe that's a manifestation of all of our fears.
Yes. Very Pisces.
Everybody has been living in tremendous fear for eons. Fear, I'm not going to have enough. I'm not going to do enough. I'm not going to be liked enough. Fear of tomorrow, anxieties, and things like that. We all have certain fears, and but some people are truly fear-based.
Right.
And now we've all contributed to this virus. It's a manifestation of all our fears. Right. We're co-creators. We did this. That's
right. That's right. And we also, in a certain way, I think, created Trump, because his biggest energy is fear. His biggest energy is fear. He is fearful. He is, and you look at the White House with its little cage around it.
Yes.
And he has all that Cancer in his chart. He's got Venus in Cancer. He's got Saturn in Cancer. He's got his Mercury in Cancer.
Yes.
And now Pluto, Saturn is opposite that, right?
Right.
So it's almost like bringing it to a point. And of course, as the United States, as a Cancer country,
right,
we're also very fearful.
So he's an instrument right now.
That's right.
Of bringing this country down so that we can transform and be prepared for this new age that we're entering into.
Right, because the Aquarian age, quite frankly, in my estimation anyway, is sort of, how do I want to say it? It's almost like tailor-made for the American experience.
Mm-hmm.
All different people coming together for a common cause.
Right.
Democracy is an Aquarian ideal. Democracy came about when Uranus was discovered. right? The ruler of
Yes.
Aquarius. So
Right.
this is a natural sort of time for that to transform, and hopefully we can actually start moving in that direction.
Right. And that's why the next 4 years are going to be so shaky,
Yes.
very shaky. And Uranus is in Taurus, and so it's affecting the environment, the earth, the farmers, the financial aspects of life. This country is probably going to go, it is in a recession right now.
Right.
The weather patterns are extreme now. All of that, it's bringing us to our knees,
Right.
just bringing us to our knees and saying, what can we live without?
What's essential in our lives?
What is essential? And can you live that in a meaningful and purposeful way? So, with Saturn involved in that conjunction, the next 14 years are going to tell a story for each one of us.
Right.
And but the next 4 years is really very critical and very bumpy. It's like going on a plane ride and the weather, and you're bouncing all over the place.
Right, right.
And I think this quarantine is a forced reevaluation. We're all being forced into reevaluation.
Right.
A lot of people live outside of themselves. They don't have an identity except for what they do in the world or how they're seen in the world.
Right.
We are being forced to look within. And for those that have been on a spiritual path, we relish this in many ways.
I've loved the quarantine. I finally feel like everybody else is on the same page as I am.
Yeah.
Because I've been quarantined for years now.
Me too.
I mean, I'll say, I haven't been on a vacation and I couldn't tell you. Maybe when I came to see you might have been my last vacation.
It's quite a while ago.
That was a long time ago, right? 10 years at least, right?
Right.
So,
right. So I think that if we move out of this quarantine too quickly, we are going to be forced to back up.
Yeah.
Because we cannot. We have to take time to digest this.
Yeah.
And reevaluate everything and get to the core of who we are.
Right.
And that's going to be based upon what is important to each one of us. So
I think one of the things that it has done is it's sort of brought us all, like, the thing about the virus is, while being poor gives you a better chance of getting it, because you're not as healthy and you're not eating right and you're under more stress. Really, it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're gonna get affected by the virus is going to affect you, and so it sort of evens out the playing field in a way.
Right. We have to even out the playing field.
Absolutely.
This whole issue around race and all of that, it infuriates me.
Yeah.
I've had enough. When is enough going to be enough? It just infuriates me because we are all sparks of God. We're all sparks of the Creator. We're just in different. We're in a different suit. We're all just envelopes. It's the soul.
Right. And it's interesting that I remember the first time I looked at skin under the microscope, going back to my science background, and I was looking at it, and there's this layer in the epidermis where the melanin cells are, and the cell and the specimen that I had was of a Black person because the melanin was dark. And I realized that the only difference between, and I was never prejudiced, really. Pisces moon, I see everybody soul first. It didn't matter to me if you were a pauper or a prince. I would have treated you the same way. Also, my South Node in Aquarius. But when I saw that, I realized that, like, that's the only difference. It's truly only skin deep, and it's only a gradation of a pigment.
Right.
And I was just like, I was in college at the time. I was a bio major, and I was like, this is just, this is
Illusion. Illusion.
Yep, yep, yep. But it's interesting also, and I don't want to sound, I don't want this to sound racist, but the darkness is what develops the soul, right? It's the
Mhm.
journey through the darkness, and if your skin
Right.
is darker, you tend to have more of those experiences. I mean, think of the mothers who have lost children to police violence
Mhm.
and to drugs because the CIA needs money, and so they bring drugs into a bad neighborhood. I mean, there's so many levels of
Mhm.
that we could just go on and on. But all of this suffering, and they come back. And I watched this thing the other day. It was actually the English guy who's on HBO. This Week Tonight or something. I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head. But he was talking about the protests. And at the end, he had this woman a black woman from, I think it was Minnesota, but I'm not sure. And she was saying, what do we care if everything here burns down? We don't own anything. You're here, you're supposed to be protecting us, and you're killing us. She said, you are so lucky that all we want is equality and not revenge. It was so powerful. And I was like,
Right.
it like washed over me. And that sense of, like that's from a group of people who have had to go deep, deep, deep within themselves to find the courage to continue.
That's right.
Because I know myself, if I was faced with that stuff, I'm not sure I could. I'm sure I've had lifetimes as a black person, so it's
I
not
have, and
right.
that's what I say. Thank God I wasn't black in this lifetime because I would be, I wouldn't be able to handle. I'd be enraged.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be dead.
And
I'd be like, right,
we're looking for equality as equal opportunity, as being treated fairly and justly, equally.
right,
We're not equal. We're all individuals.
right,
We all have unique qualities.
right,
But
right,
we need the freedom to be in this world without oppression and without hatred and without resentment. I mean, that's like your dark skin. Therefore, you stay in the darkness, and we're going to put you there if you uh, uh, challenge.
right,
Uh, uh, if you if just because you exist, just
right,
because you exist.
right, right.
I wish I could do something to change the world around that.
Well,
I
you
wish I
do.
could because I feel it so strongly, but I know not one person can do that. But
No,
we'll
but
figure it out.
individually, by being our best selves, we
Yes,
create that sense of justice. And I think that's the Aquarian age to me, is
it
taking
is.
that. It's like the Aquarian age. We have to take something from Leo, right? Because it's the opposite sign.
Mhm.
What is your special? What is your special talent? What is it that makes you special that you
Yes,
can bring to contribute to the
right.
greater whole?
That's
Aquarius.
exactly.
And
But
that's
we're not giving them a chance to voice what that is.
right.
I mean,
Well, they get a chance in a very narrow, they're given entertainment and
yes,
sports.
that's right.
Entertainment and sports so that they can entertain
Yes.
the higher, the lighter, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's changing, and I feel like the generations coming in now, this Pluto and Sag generation, which
Hmm.
is the generation that have been going to school through all the school shootings,
Hmm.
and then the Plutos in Capricorns that are still coming in.
Hmm.
That's changing. That's changing things as well. They're much more collective in their consciousness, and soon Pluto's going to be in Aquarius.
I know. I know.
So, we have a road ahead of us, but there is light. And
Yes.
you,
Yes.
for me, you've been a great light to me, and hopefully I can be a light to other people,
Of course
and
you are.
so on and so on and so on. And so we're bringing the light.
We're bringing the light. I know. I guess I just get so infuriated at the injustices against humanity. I just, when I look at a chart and I see I don't see color. I don't see culture. I don't see anything but the beauty and the struggles that soul is willing to take on, and the beauty that it could bring to this planet. And it's just, I guess I'm not used to looking at people and basing my judgments, my decisions about them on their appearance. That's
Yeah.
the last thing in the world that I would ever do, because I have these other tools that show me the magnificence of this person.
That's right. And I'm always astounded because, people come to you and they open up to you in ways that, maybe they haven't opened up to anybody. But the stories that I hear, the struggles
Yeah,
that people
right.
go through and overcome, it's
Yes.
just I'm
It's
both awed and humble at
right.
their, and they're just people living their lives. There's
That's right.
so many incredible stories of
Yeah.
people, and we don't hear about them. We hear about Trump and Ivanka and Jared. Who gives a crap about these people?
I know.
They're like empty, as far as I can tell, they're empty vessels. Of course, they have their purpose.
He's a wonderful symbol. He's a symbol of all that has been wrong
Yeah.
in the world. It's in our face every minute of the day, and we can't avoid it, because if we turn on the TV, it's there. If we look at our cell phones, it's there. No matter what, we cannot escape what we have settled for. And right now, it can't hide. It has no place to hide.
Right. Not even in the bunker.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, this has been great, Linda. This was fun, right? I told you it would be.
It is fun. It is fun, yeah.
So I'm gonna put this up, and I'll put it up on my channel. You can always check, and you can, interact with the people as well. But I want to thank you. I'm gonna stop the recording, and then we'll just chit chat afterwards.
Okay.
But
Right.
and I would love to do this again with you. You know that, right? And I'm persistent.
Now that I know how to do Zoom, isn't that awful?
Oh, that's good. You're not a virgin anymore. It's good to, yeah.
I know.
Zoom virgin. All right, hold on one second, honey.
Okay.